Well, welcome back again to Hustings. Tonight we've got the second episode, and following on from Tommy Miller last week, we've got a bloke who pretty much, I would say, set the standard over the years at Victoria Park for left backs. And if over the years, if you're a left back, you've often been referred to this guy here, Rob McKinnon, an absolute promotion hero from some 30 years ago. So welcome back, Robbie.
Cheers, Nick. Thanks for having me back, mate. It's great to hopefully go down memory lane with some fond memories.
Because I know your time at Pools, as much as you had a great career away from Victoria Park, your time at the Vic was something special, wasn't it?
100%, mate. It's it's a time in my life that I'm very proud of. I think the living in the area for the length of time that I did, you got to know the people, the town. It was just, how much the club meant to the community. And back then, it was, tough times financially for the town, and we're just glad that obviously the promotion season we gave them something to cheer about. There was a hell of a lot of disappointing stuff prior to that, but no doubt you'll touch on some of it tonight. But no, for me, promotion was that's what it was all about. It's fantastic.
And it's hard to believe it's actually 30 years ago that you were celebrating going up. It's time passes quite quickly, doesn't it? But it was such a great era for the club and the town as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's 30 years, but it's still, some of the stuff still seems like yesterday, and it's very vivid in the old memory upstairs somewhere in the back of the mind. But I see you've got the promotion shirt behind you, and I've obviously got mine and a lot of mementos from my time at Hartlepool that I keep upstairs. And every now and again I disappear and just have a wee hour or two to myself, just really reminiscing about all the clubs I've played at, the games, and memories that I've had throughout my career. And I was very lucky and enjoyed a fantastic career. I've no regrets. So it's it's great just to look back and reminisce.
And of course, you back home in Scotland now, but you do still keep in touch with what's going on at Pools through social media and through fans groups, and you've still got that real strong affinity with the club itself.
Yeah, I'm in more Hartlepool supporters groups and than anything else on my social media, but I love it. My WhatsApp's constantly going with it. I'm a member of the South East Police, honorary member, so really proud. But the phone beeps every 2 seconds when the games are on or somebody's streaming a game, and it's great to still to feel a part of it, and hopefully with a good outcome at the end of the season.
He's hoping, fingers crossed. Like I said, you've been keeping tabs on Pools this season under Dave Challinor. So what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think they've done really, really well. An indifferent start, I would say. I don't know the reason why. Maybe it's just getting to know the manager. I think Armstrong was a big plus point for them. I think he banged in about 13 league goals, along with Oates, so that they have bonded well. I think the team's played well from what I can gather on the social media side of things, and really, it's a good season, I would say. God forbid it doesn't happen and the club doesn't go up. It's as close as we've came, but we've got potentially 3 massive cup finals, and I think the positive side for me is if they can get through their side of the kind of qualifying to the final. I think Torquay, Notts County and Chesterfield, I think, are the 3 teams which I believe we've beat home and away this season. So I don't want to obviously scupper anything by putting a hex on it, but I think they'll go into the game with confidence. They finished the season fairly strongly. I think maybe they'll look back and think that, March time they had 3 draws. I think Eastleigh, Kingsland, and I think Altrincham was another one. So in that time in March, I would say, if anything, when you wanted them to kick on, they had a great spell. There's no doubt about it. The winning run was fantastic. So you've got to take a few setbacks during that and drawn games where you'd maybe look back and think, we should have won those games, which would have got us in for one less playoff game. But sometimes if there's momentum there, good result the last game of the season, winning 4-0. So if they can take that momentum into the games, I don't see any real problems. I mean, Bromley, I think we lost away from home and drew 0 each. So it's going to be a very difficult game. I think, it's obviously the lowest team in the playoffs that qualify, but I still think that, we can't underestimate anyone, and all the games will be really difficult. Stockport, I think it's away from home if we get through Bromley. So that's massive as well. So it's, but the big games come along, and if you want to be successful, you need to win those games, and hopefully the players realise, and with Dave Challoner in charge, I think he's got the right mentality. It seems to be rubbing off on the players, and hopefully it's a good conclusion to the season.
I like the way that you call it we and us. At times it slips in, so it's still there.
It's still there, mate. It always will be. It always will be. It's again, it's all down to the social media boys, and obviously I follow you guys as well on the Facebook, and it's great, just getting the reports, and being a part of fans group, you still get obviously certain guys getting criticised, and I have to kind of just sit back a little bit, because it was never nice when I was at Pools. We were, some of the dark seasons when we were getting absolutely thumped, and certain players were getting stick. It was difficult, because these guys don't go out to play badly, on purpose. Sometimes, we've all went through difficult spells at Pools, and confidence was a massive thing. So hopefully, as I say, the confidence is high this season, and we can get the promotion.
And obviously, you'll go back here to signing for Pools before you turned out for blue and white. You appeared in black and white on one occasion, memorably at White Hart Lane for Newcastle United. What's your memories on there? Yeah,
it was. It's a bit of a blur, I'll be perfectly honest. I remember playing left back with guys like John Chijosi. I mean, it'll be a certain vintage of listener that will probably have heard the John Chijosi, Paul Allen, people like Chris Waddle, all these guys. They were household names. Glenn Hoddle was pulling the strings in the middle of the park. We actually took the lead that day, went 1-0 up, and I think it lasted all of about 5 minutes, and Tottenham just upped a couple of gears, and really they just ran over the top of us. It was obviously a difficult game for me. I was a young kid making my debut. I just remember how passionate the Toon fans were, the Newcastle fans behind the goal. They just sang the whole game. 5-1, they were still singing. Obviously, towards the end of the game, I get substituted, and Gazza came on and made his debut as well. So it's unfortunately, I think it was back in the time when the TVs were on strike. There was some kind of blackout on the coverage of the game. So I've got a little bit of footage kicking about somewhere just on YouTube, I think. And but still, great memory. It was my one and only game, and unfortunately, it didn't lead to any more appearances. But the way I look at it was, I moved on to Hartlepool, 5.5 fantastic seasons. So it wasn't all bad.
Was Gazza always going to be Gazza when he was the young lad coming through at Newcastle then?
Yeah, he was nuts. Yeah, I have to be honest with you. He was a character, always cheeky, just Gazza. Obviously, he has his troubles that he's going through just now and previously, but I do really wish that he could turn himself around and kind of get back in an even keel. But he was a character. He was him and Five Bellies when they were at Newcastle. They were just always up to all sorts of mischief, and they were great. They were a great double act, and I think the club knew, the coaches, Colin Suggett and Jack Charlton, people like that, they knew they had a talent, and they had to obviously nurture it. They had to kind of turn a blind eye when he was full of mischief, and he did get away with the odd joke or two that maybe just kind of went a little bit too far. But Gazza was just Gazza, and everybody loved him. So he was a great talent, great player. Obviously, very, very lucky to have spent a couple of seasons with him. While he was polishing my boots, may I say, that was my boot boy.
Not a bad claim to fame that to have then in the back.
Yeah, well, aye.
Not
the same bank balance.
Couple of quid away still these days, I gather. Yeah. And then obviously that one appearance in Newcastle, you had the managerial change early on in your career at Newcastle. Jack Charlton left, William McFall took over. You only played once that season. Then you did have the chance to move back to Scotland, but opted to stay in the northeast. John Bird comes in for you, and it's your affinity with pools starts from then. Yeah,
I can remember John. He was a Newcastle guy. I think he was from the kind of Newcastle area. Came up and spoke to me. I was very impressed. It was a chance to kind of re-establish myself. I felt a little bit aggrieved that I was let go from Newcastle, so I always had that burning ambition to prove them wrong. That's really how probably most of my time at Hartlepool. I just used to have these, building up to a game. I just wanted to prove the manager who let me go was Willie McFall. I just wanted to prove him wrong, and that was all I had going on. And it motivated me before games, just to maybe give a little bit extra. Just I had nothing against Willie. Obviously, he had a decision to make. He let me go. He maybe didn't see enough, which probably looking back, you could maybe say was fair comment. I was a quiet young kid, didn't really mix too much with the group, but I always felt that I could do my talking on a football field. That seemed to be my release, and it obviously wasn't enough at Newcastle. But John Bird spoke to me. I was happy in the area, and really, I thought, I had some clubs in Scotland sniffing about, but I thought, I'd like to stay full time as well at Hartlepool and give it a go. Where I looked at it thinking maybe it's 2 steps backwards, to go 3 steps forward, and it turned out the right move for me anyway. For 5.5 great seasons at Hartlepool.
It's pretty much 5.5 seasons, which you rarely missed a game as well. You're absolute mainstay in the side for so long.
Yeah, I look back at the appearances at Hartlepool, and I think I only missed a handful of games in 5.5 seasons. One of which was in the promotion season, which I wasn't very happy about when I missed Aldershot away. I was playing a trial game at Leeds, which at the time you think, Leeds United, Howard Wilkinson, it was amazing, but I was absolutely gutted that I missed the game against Aldershot, especially when the club, we won 5-1. So, you think they're an integral part of the team until they go away to Aldershot and stuff them 5-1. So, but no, I mean, that season I think was the only game I missed. I missed a couple of games through injury when a certain Alan Kennedy was loaned to the club, which again was an amazing experience to have a European Cup winner left back in the same squad as I was. I was still learning my stuff, and to have him, even for the short period he was there, was absolutely phenomenal. So, but yeah, I was very fortunate. I carried maybe a couple of injuries at times, and you just, back then, you played through it. You had a win bonus to try and play for, you had a house to try and pay for, and so back then that was an important part of your preparation, is just winning a game to try and, because as you know, back then Hartlepool wasn't a massive club with massive income and finances to shell out to the players. So I think my first or second season that I had a delivery of pound coins for when I was back home in Scotland through the summer for my wages. So it was, Frankie Baggs was out selling, the pools tickets and all that, and so pools in the move, and I got a delivery of pound coins for my wages. So that's how tough it was for the town, for the club and the players. You know, we realised that as well. We knew we weren't going to get rewarded like other clubs, but we had a great unit. It was a great time, and you know, the whole community came together and helped out in the players' lounge, and you know, we didn't have obviously the hospitality infrastructure that's there now, but everybody was all, you know, integral to the club, and whether it was down to ball boys to the guys working at the turnstiles, they all helped. Every single person helped.
You mentioned there Frankie Baggs, and the likes of Frankie Baggs, John Breward, Stan Hill,
Johnny,
all real characters around the club at the time, weren't they?
Yeah, they certainly were, and they did. You know, they came into the club, and they really were an integral part of the squad. You know, they travelled with us. They, Frankie, it was Johnny as well. The two of them were a double act, and you know, on away trips, they just kept you going. They kept, you know, the kind of banter and all that. But they were great characters, absolutely fantastic characters. And unfortunately, again, it's you know, just old age. We're all getting older, and you know, people pass on. And but you know, you keep the fond memories upstairs, and it was a great time.
And you struck up a lasting, a lifetime friendship with a certain Brian Honour as soon as you signed for Pools as well, didn't you? You and Brian,
yeah.
This day you're still very, very close, and constantly.
Yeah, I'm you know, very proud to have kept in touch with Brian all this time. We just shared a kind of love of football, and we you know, we helped each other out. He was a great player, a great fighter. I kind of looked at that, and you know, I really admired, as much as he was a talented winger, and you know, all the things that a winger could do. He also loved to dig in and help a fullback out, and that was my kind of, you know, I was the same type of player. You know, I love getting forward, but you know, I would say, you know, I always gave 100% and fighting for the club, whether we were winning, drawing, losing heavily. I still, you know, wanted to win. And Brian, that kind of rubbed off on us, and we struck up a great relationship. He put me up for a few months while I was getting a house in Hartlepool, and I decided to move down from Newcastle. Had a great time with playing squash and up in Peterlee in the squash sports centre there, and it became fairly competitive. You know, he wouldn't be talking to me for a couple of days if I beat him, but and vice versa if he beat me. So it was very competitive, but no, it was a great time. We still obviously keep in touch to this day. Obviously, the current situation's difficult for getting out and about, but hopefully we'll get together at some point in the near future.
Because certainly there was yourself, Brian. There was a real like nucleus of the team, which had a couple of years of struggle, which was then transformed into a promotion team. You could say yourself, Keith Nobbs, John Tinkler, Paul Dalton, Joe Allen, Paul Baker, 5, 6, 7 players there who were part of struggles for 18 months or so. Then suddenly, bang, they transformed into something else. Promotion winners. Obviously, the big thing, the big turnaround was Cyril Knowles coming in. But those 2 years, if you like, before then, when you lost to, I think it was York 7-1, Aldershot 6, Doncaster at home 6. I think you were the player who got a standing ovation from the town end after well in such a
that one sticks in my mind, obviously, because again, when it was spoke about earlier, I hated losing. I hate, you know, and I still gave my best, even though we were getting beat 5 and 6-0. I was still trying to get forward. I was trying to get a goal, you know, something probably crazy in my head, thinking, if we get 1 goal, you know, you never know, we could always get another 5. But you know, it was just the way my train of thought was when I was on a field, and people recognised that. And you know, it's one game for the wrong reasons, but the right reasons, if you know what I mean. It sticks in my head. But we were heavily beaten with York away at 7-1 and things like that, and difficult games. And fans were, you know, they went to York in the numbers that night, you know, and they always had a great travelling support. They were always very vocal, but at the same time, you know, they were very critical at times as well, and to be honest, quite rightly so. But as you say, the same nucleus of that team just seemed to turn on its head, and Cyril came on board, but I think a lot of people like John Bird, Bob Moncur, Pop Robson, all these guys, they were top managers. People may have something to say about that, but when I firmly believe these guys that were there, they helped me certainly develop. Bob Moncur, I mean, Newcastle captain, massive player. His coaching was great. We had Pop Robson there, who was fantastic as well. And John Bird was great. Alan Little, all these guys, they helped. There's no question about it. They set a foundation. We're probably the nucleus of that team. Cyril came on board, made a few changes, but obviously for the better, because we started picking up results and things went for us, and culminating in a fantastic promotion season.
When Cyril took over, the club was in pretty much dire straits. I think it was 9 points from 18 games at the bottom, and he was the hard taskmaster you probably needed to come in and drag you by your neck, if you like. He was a hard taskmaster. I was actually in work a few months ago, and a guy came in to deliver something from down south, and it was Cyril's son. I couldn't believe it. Right.
And it, and I was only in our reception in the business, just literally to pick a bit of paperwork up, and this guy was there, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, McKinnon, because he was delivering a parcel to McKinnon and Forbes, is my business name, and he said, McKinnon, so you're not Rob McKinnon, are you? I went, yeah. He says, I'm Cyril Knowles' son. I went, oh my God. And I could remember him from being just a tiny kid coming to the games and coming to training, and it was great. Again, we spent about half an hour, 45 minutes having a chat just about Hartlepool and the games he could remember, and it was fantastic, But Cyril came on board, and he certainly ruffled a few feathers, I would say, with his training regime and methods, but the guy was a winner. You don't play for Tottenham Hotspur if you're a bad player. He had a great football brain. He maybe lived a little bit on the players certainly were scared of him, I would say. One or two would maybe have a little pop back now and again, but it was very few and far between, because he would just put you down, he'd cut you to shreds. But that's maybe what we needed at the time, and it worked. So you can't say it didn't work, because it certainly did. He turned the side around. Whether or not it's a case of playing with fear and you're scared to make a mistake, and I really don't know. It just seemed to click, and players came out their shell. Obviously, sadly, he fell ill, and Alan took over. And Alan's, we used to laugh about it after the game, but Alan's team talk when we were on that run was just right, guys. Same team, same lineup, same performance, and really it was as easy as that. The players just had a fantastic understanding, great confidence, and it was as simple as that, really, for Alan to come on board. Again, Alan was a top man, and again saw the club through in a difficult time, took over. It could easily have crumbled, and Alan would have lost his job and players would have left, but thankfully we were on a great run, and we got over the line, obviously, with the last day against Northampton.
I suppose the two managerial stars between Cyril and Alan were your proverbial chalk and cheese as well.
Yeah, it was night and day. Alan was very much more relaxed, more laid back. Still, you still had to put a training session in, and obviously the team, you didn't want to miss training, because at the time we were winning. We were really on a great run, and you just didn't want to miss training. We had midweek games, so as a player, me personally, I hated Saturday to Saturday. A lot of players nowadays, it's all, they're playing too many games, they're burnt out, by October, because they've played a couple of midweek Champions League games, and you're like, Give me a game every night of the week. It saved me training. I wasn't a great lover of training, especially when Cyril had the dock runs round about the harbour and stuff like that. That was horrendous stuff. So, you know, you wanted to have midweek games because then the training was all geared towards a game. It wasn't, you know, getting a Wednesday off and you were getting the legs run off you on a Tuesday. I hated all that. So I loved the momentum. And at the time we were winning on a Saturday, winning on a Wednesday or a Tuesday, winning on Saturday. And it just really, it snowballed from there. And we just really knew each other's game inside out. And because the team was pretty much picking itself, it just seemed to roller coaster, and you know, we just go over the line. And we just knew we were getting out to win a game. It was quite surreal actually when you think back, knowing that you're going to places like Hereford, and you knew you were going to win. You knew Daltz or Brian or Joe or Bakes were going to, you know, just have a bit of magic and win us the game. You know, we just had to keep it tight at the back, try and help them out forward, you know, up the park now and again. But, you know, I think the Hereford game, I think Daltz scored a couple of great goals, and it was, you just knew it was I can't really put it into words, but it was a great time just to be involved in that team because we were just winning, and it was so enjoyable.
But Rob McKinnon wasn't just a defender. You were also one who ploughed forward at will, and that was your game all the time as well, wasn't it? To offer that extra outlet behind and the bolts on the wing. Yeah,
I always used to believe in, and it's something that I, you know, if I'm talking to kids now that are defenders, I always believed that, you know, if I went forward and that winger tracked me back the park and I lost that ball in the final third of their pitch, it's far easier for me to get back or someone else to get a tackle rather than sitting back in my last third and losing the ball, you know, in the last line of defence. That, you know, that was my kind of theory. It seemed to work most of the time because I know wingers, probably apart from Brian Honor, they hated tracking back. I know Daltz hated tracking back. So it was just something that I enjoyed doing. Loved getting forward. You know, I still watch some of the, you know, the videos and stuff like that, the games and the song, the Up and Away song as well. That was fantastic. Just watching stuff like that, and just brings back so many great memories.
Yeah, and ploughing forward, you've got the Scotland captain who does it now for Liverpool anyway. So you set the trend 30 years ago, Rob.
Aye, well, yeah, Andy Robertson's doing a fine job as well as Kieran Tierney. So Scotland are blessed with two world-class left backs just now. Just a pity one of them can't kick with a right foot, or would be all right for both fullbacks. But no, it was something I loved doing, and you know, I was fortunate enough that, you know, I could get forward in a few games and contribute towards the outcome of the game. So it was great.
You touched earlier, you missed that one game during the promotion season, during the 14-game unbeaten run, which led to promotion. But on trial at Leeds, there was also interest a bit earlier in your postcareer from Man United, from Aston Villa as well. And you played for Man United on a pre-season tour before the promotion season. But it didn't materialise into a permanent.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everything's for a reason. You know, things turn out the way they turn out. You know, whether it's fate or whatever. But I went to Manchester on loan. Went up to Alex Ferguson's office to sign the paperwork, and just an amazing experience to even be thought about by a club like Man United, you know, one of the biggest clubs in the world. So I had a loan spell there. We went to Dusseldorf on an end of season trip. It was just after Man United had won the famous cup, FA Cup against Crystal Palace in the replay. I think it was Lee Martin, who was a left back, that scored the goal. So I was up against it straight away. But no, I went there and I felt I did well. Sir Alex had said to me after the game, the final game, that, you know, we would like to get another look at you, possibly in pre-season training. Didn't materialise for whatever reason, and it was just it was a little bit disappointing. But as you say, you know, I had that game at Leeds. You know, Howard Wilkinson, manager of Leeds. You know, it was Gary Gibson that drove me down in his Porsche. We got there in about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, the way he was driving. Never thought I'd see another game of football, never mind anything else. But we went down there, and I just remember talking to Howard in his office, and it was just football videos and you know, the old videos of players from all over the world. He had, everyone was marked, and he had a TV, a video player, and all he done was watch games from players all across the world. And he had, you know, probably a scouting network before anyone else had it, you know, like a global scouting. It was amazing, actually, just to be in his office and see how much he thought about the game. Played in the game again. I thought I did well. From what Gary Gibson said, that they wanted me to go on loan, but at the time we were pushing for promotion, so I didn't have an option whether you know, I never got asked the question, do you want to go on loan? I was just told, we're you know, hopefully going for promotion this year. I would rather you stay, concentrate on that and focus on that. I was happy doing that. I just felt that a lot of clubs were sniffing about. Aston Villa wanted to take me on a pre-season tour, Malaysia or somewhere. And I think it was Alan Murray, I could be wrong, but one of whoever it was that took the call, and I just told him, no, I wasn't going. I said, well, you better tell Ron Atkinson then. And I was handed the phone. And I had to tell Ron Atkinson that I just didn't think it was right, because, you know, clubs all, you know, eventually you go to these clubs and it's the buzz, you know, you get a massive buzz about being linked with a club like that, but then it's the letdown if nothing happens. And I was just feeling that, you know, I was buzzing at one point and then, you know, really low after it. And I thought, you know, these clubs have got scouts. That's what they pay them for. They go to games. They recommend, you know, if Hartlepool, whatever, 150 grand, whatever it was, I went to Motherwell for, then I felt that wasn't a massive transfer fee for clubs like, you know, the clubs that I was linked with. So I turned down Aston Villa, whether, again, that was right or wrong, but not long after that, obviously Motherwell came along and signed me up.
Your last game for Pools, I suppose you went out into Dard playing at Portman Road in FA Cup tie against Ipswich, and then it was farewell back up north of the border. Yeah,
it was fantastic. Again, great last game. You know, Pools fans that were there in the thousands that day at Portman Road, absolutely amazing. I didn't, you know, I was more or less 99% sure that the move was going to be happening. You know, obviously things can fall by the wayside, whether it's transfer fees or whatever, personal terms, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, personal terms for me, there wasn't any qualms. Whatever they offer me, I took it, because, you know, I'm in the top league in Scotland, playing against Celtic, playing against Rangers. You know, there was no real qualms about that. I just wanted to get to a higher level. The money was irrelevant at the time, like probably most of my transfers. You know, money was secondary, to be honest. I just thought, Motherwell, big club, chance to go up there and better myself again. And the game at Ipswich, I wasn't 100% sure it was going to happen, but I had more or less an inkling that things were going to happen over the weekend. So it was really a farewell. We played fantastically well that day. It was a great game to go out on, going to a massive club like Ipswich and drawing one each. It was just phenomenal. You know, and Daltz was outstanding that day, you know, and right back just couldn't get near him. The whole team played well, and we got a fantastic draw. And I came back down to the replay. I think we got beat 2-0 or 3-1 possibly. I can't remember the exact score, but I kind of got my chance to say cheerio to the fans. I think it was a half time before the game. Just came out, had a wave, and went up into the mill house, as it was called, and watched the game. And it was great. It was, you know, sad in a way, but, you know, I had joined a an SPL club, and one that, you know, went on to finish second in the league and stuff like that. So, you know, I felt I made the right decision at the right time.
And you got, of course, the ultimate honour. Well, dare I say the second honour after promotion was appearing for your country as well. 3 international caps you racked up, which must be a very, very proud.
Oh, yeah, phenomenal. You know, out of all my achievements, you know, I didn't win trophies. You know, I've won Player of the Year trophies with Hartlepool, which are up there. You know, being voted by your fans, by your players, you know, your fellow players, things like that were just phenomenal. And promotion, as you say, was up there. But getting capped for my country, a proud Scotsman, then nothing beats that. Absolutely nothing. And to do it 3 times and be unbeaten in those 3 games, there's not many Scottish men that play for Scotland to say they're undefeated. So, yeah, very proud. It's just amazing. I'm still blown away the fact that I managed to play for my country. It was a great achievement.
Is there one, dare I say, tinge of disappointment that you didn't turn out for the Tartan in front of the Tartan Army at Hampden Park?
Yeah, it was. I was in, I think, one of the squads for Hampden against Greece, and at the time I was having problems with my breathing, and they found kind of polyps in my nose, so I had to pull out of the squad to have an operation. And the hospital that I had the operation in was right next to Hampden, and I could hear the roar. Ali McCoist, I think, scored on a 1-0 victory, and I heard the roar. You know, and I'm lying in my bed recuperating after an operation, thinking I should have been on that pitch. You know, it would have been great for my family to have been there and saw me, you know, play for my country, but it wasn't to be. So, but I still take nothing away from the 3 that I got. It was fantastic.
And then, of course, we've got England, Scotland to come up in a few weeks. Dare I ask you for score predictions of that one at this early stage?
Well, I'm doing a predictor in the work, a score predictor. I've got, you know, my head ruling my heart. I would say England will be strong favourites to win. So, without giving away the scoreline, I don't want all my colleagues copying my score, but I do think England will edge it. Although the heart's beginning to think, oh, you know, we drew with Holland, we took them really close and we played really well. But I think if England turn up as they should at Wembley, I would suggest. Unfortunately, my phone will be getting thrown out that night because of the WhatsApp messages I'll probably get. But no, listen, as I say, we're a proud nation. We're really happy to be there. It's been a long time coming, qualifying for a competition. And whether people say, well, you know, it's through the back door, it was because of COVID, whatever they want to say, we're there. Don't give a damn. We're going to enjoy it, and hopefully cause 1 or 2 upsets.
That's what it's all about.
One in particular.
We'll see about that one on Friday, the 18th at Wembley, isn't it?
And I was talking about Croatia. I was talking about
Let's see on that one then. Right.
Yes.
So last week when I interviewed Tommy Miller, gave him the chance to pick his all-time 5-a-side team of players he's played with in his career. It was quite a strong team, included Darren Bent up front, Ivan Campo, and Pool's own Mark Tinkler as well, which is a nice touch.
Wow.
You've gone one better, because I think you've actually picked your best 5-a-side team with and your best Pool's 5-a-side team as well.
Yeah. I've got
5-a-side.
I've got a couple. I'll start with the Pools team then.
Great.
In goals was difficult because I played with two great keepers, more than 2 great keepers, but the 2 that stick out were Kevin Poole and Kevin Carr. I was at Newcastle with Kevin Carr as well, so he was a great character as well. Kevin Poole was really quiet. He came on loan, and you know, he was always very quiet, but what a job he done. And you know, with it being promotion, I would stick Kevin Poole in goals just above my good friend Kevin Carr, but it was a close call.
You can never forget that debut at Stockport, can you?
Oh, what a game. I mean, it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But he pulled off some terrific saves at really important times in games where you know, it was maybe on a knife edge, and you know, or maybe drawn, he would pull off a great save, and we'd go and win the game. So you couldn't underestimate what the guy done for us in the promotion season. My defender that I'm going to pick would be John McPhail.
Great choice.
Big Monty.
Not much to
Big
get
Monty.
him.
He was an absolute Rolls Royce to play alongside. He was just fantastic. Great guy, great character as well. And obviously a fellow Scot. I would stick John in there. Had, you know, big Mick Brown, people like that were great for the club as well. But I would just edge Monty in there. Two in the middle, I would put Paul Dalton and Brian Arnott, either side, left and right. It's, you know, you've got goals in there all day long. Fantastic. As I say, the two of them were just a dream to play with, regardless whether Brian was on the left or Dalton was on the left. It was just, it made my job so much easier. Particularly Brian, because he tracked back, unlike Dalton, as I said. But up front, it's a toughie, but for me, it's either Joe or Bakes. Bakes was a captain, fantastic character, a great man. He led by example, week in, week out. But for me, probably Joe just edges it with the goals. Again, going down to a promotion season. Bakes was phenomenal. He was the sidekick to Joe in so many ways, and it took a lot of pressure off of Joe, and it made Joe's job a lot easier. So, you know, I'd never forget the job that Bakes done, but Joe would probably just sneak it for being a poacher and the amount of goals he scored in the promotion season. So that's my five-a-side team.
Bakes on the bench with Rob McKinnon then? Bakes
would on the bench with Alan Kennedy, obviously. he's a European Cup winner, left back, not me, but but it's just talented group of players. There's so many guys. John Tinkler, you know, there's so many that probably Paul Olsen, guys like that, Tuppy, they were all outstanding players. So it's tough, but that's my five. So, good yes.
Stuff. And then as a bonus team, then your other five-a-side team, everyone you played, your best team.
Yeah, I've got a couple of Dutch guys chucked in there. Don't think you'll have heard of the goalkeeper. Again, played with a guy called Steve Dykstra at Motherwell, who was extrovert but fantastic goalkeeper. He was probably the closest you'd get to a sweeper keeper because he read the game so well, and he would be at the edge of his box and clear up things that defenders were struggling with. So, but the guy I picked was at my time at FC Twente, the guy called Sander Boschke. He's a Dutch internationalist goalkeeper, phenomenal talent, most huffy guy you've ever known in your life, but really fantastic goalkeeper. But I got to know Sander really well in my 2 years there, and he was an outstanding keeper, great talent, and obviously playing for the Dutch national side, you can't be bad in that era, certainly. So then I'll go with Paul Lambert. I played with Paul at Motherwell, obviously a European Cup winner with Borussia Dortmund, and Celtic captain for many, many years as well. Scotland captain, played a lot of caps, and again another player had the privilege of playing with at Motherwell. Fantastic player, great, just reading the game, sweeping things up, and was I think when he went to Dortmund they kind of changed his role and just put him as a sitting midfielder, and within a year he'd won a European Cup. So fantastic player. Alongside him I would have Paul Bosvelt, who played for Manchester City. Another teammate of mine at FC Twente, played with Feyenoord. I think he won the Winners' Cup with Feyenoord. Again, brilliant player in the middle of the park. He was so gifted. He also, scored a lot of goals from midfield as well. But a great talent and a great person as well. So he's in there. And I would go with two up front. Peter Beardsley from my time at Newcastle. Again, difficult. You've got Paul Gascoigne in there, who you would think would be a natural choice. Between him and Beardsley, I thought Beardsley was just a terrific player. He was he was the complete player for a small player back in the day, where, you know, a lot of people say, small players can't, you know, they can't make it in the game. You look at now, people like Messi, Aguero, you know, they're just, it's probably more an advantage to be smaller nowadays, and that's how the game's evolved. But a phenomenal talent, Beardsley. He kind of looked after me at Newcastle as well. So from that point of view, I would put him in there. And my final choice is the man himself, Davy Cooper, who I was very honoured and lucky enough to play with at Motherwell. And when I just joined from Hartlepool, being a pretty much raw left back, he helped me enormously. Fantastic talent, and sadly no longer with us, but I've got great memories of Coop, and he just looked after me during games. And, you know, I probably said to you the story when I played my first game. He just told me, listen, son, just you take off down the wing, I'll find you. And 9 times out of 10, my debut was against Celtic. We drew nothing each. I got man of the match. My dad still has the bottle of whiskey to this day.
He hasn't drank it.
No. Well, unless it's a double share, you know, it seems to be evaporating, but he swears that he hasn't touched it. But anyway, but no, Cooper, after the game, he sat me down. So, how do you think, you know, you've done this? So brilliant. I can't thank you enough. So I was really disappointed. You know, one of the balls that I played to you, the mitre sign wasn't quite facing the right way, you know, and you're like, that was just the guy, you know. He was a talent, and he was a perfectionist, and he really helped me. You know, had some great players alongside me at Motherwell, but Cooper, being the left-hand side, he just helped my game no end, and he made me think more of timing runs, and just really all-round player. And he was a gentleman of a guy, and he looked after me after training. We'd go out for pasta, which back then, you know, was kind of novel. There wasn't any nutritionists and stuff like that in the game at the time, and he looked after himself, and he was just a fantastic player to be around. So that would be my all time. You know, as I say, you've got people like Chris Waddle, Gazza, my boy Phil O'Donnell, that sadly passed away at my time at Motherwell, was a fantastic talent as well. Alan Kennedy, you know, a European Cup winner, albeit a very brief spell, but just amazing to you know, I could probably rhyme off about another 50 players that, you know, I was lucky enough to play with that helped me enormously. But obviously you're not on night shift tonight, so limited.
And out of everyone, of all the managers you've played with, just to conclude, Rob, all the gaffers you played under, who would be your number one choice to be manager?
Oh, that is tough. Tommy McLean was phenomenal for me at Motherwell. Alex McLeish was phenomenal. Cyril Knowles was really good as well. I've had really top managers, but if I had to pick one, I would say probably FC Twente's Hans Meyer,
right,
from East Germany, and very methodical but fantastic manager. Just amazing manager.
I know he changed your game to a certain extent. Obviously, you had to adapt to the Dutch way of playing football. Was he the big one who instilled and drilled that into you at the time?
I think he just made me think how to play the game. You know, all other managers, as I said to you, you know, McLeish, McLean, these guys, they were great managers, and every one of them I have a huge amount of respect for, and thanks as well for helping to develop my game. But Hans Meyer just made me think more that it wasn't just about bombing forward 20 times and a half for a game and only getting one quality cross in. What he wanted was maybe 5 forward. You know, you would get forward 5 or 6 times and a half and put over 2 or 3 quality balls. So it was more to think about the right time and how to defend, how to be more professional. And the game in Holland at the time, you know, we trained 3 times a day. Motherwell, Hartlepool, you know, you're apart from pre-season training, you're finished and playing snooker for 1 o'clock. You know, it was different ethos altogether, and it was so professional, and I learned so much in my time in Holland. It was just fantastic.
Great stuff. Well, thanks ever so much for your time, Rob. I hope you've enjoyed reminiscing about your your happy time at the Victoria Ground back in the day? Because I know it's, like we said at the start, it's a club which is really close to your heart, not just for what you did on the pitch, but I know you took the town to heart as well by moving in there and adapting, and you know, you're certainly an adopted Poolie.
Yeah, loved it, mate. I loved it. I loved the Saturday nights in the Warrior pub down the bottom of Stephen Road as well, and the Fens. It was a great place. Loved my time there. Proud that I'm maybe an adopted Poolie, but yeah, fantastic. I really do hope we've got a good conclusion to this season and get us back into the league football where we hopefully belong.
Great stuff, Rob. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers, Nick. Thanks.